What is up, everybody? Joe Sib here with you, Rad Parenting, with my co-host,
Anea and Joe.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Rad Parenting. Super excited to be here. As I always say on the show, your questions can generate the topics. If you ever want to email us, all you got to do is go to radparenting@gmail.com. Any question you have for Anea or myself, you can hit us up there. Also, it's also been a way that we can find out what you guys dig about the show. And we've been pretty fortunate because whenever I say, well, you don't dig about the show, there's only been a couple people who have been like, hey, Joe, sometimes you talk too fast.
Really?
Yeah, and that was from Karen. And I was
like your wife, you mean? Your wife, Karen.
Yeah. I was like, babe, why did you email the show to say that? She's like, because you never listen to me. There you go. All right. I'm off of the mic for a second because I'm going to go to our emails.
Awesome.
And I'll just dive into this right away. First of all, thanks for everyone with all of the texts. Keep those texts coming. Text the word parenting to 313131, and you will be updated on all of the shows, plus everything that Anea and I have going on with Rad Parenting. I'm going to go into this this email that was sent to us, and it's from a woman named Ginny. And basically, it says, single mom, serious boyfriend.
Okay.
So we're going into a territory that we haven't gone into on the show. I think you've touched on it here and then, but it's about basically dating after a divorce.
Yeah.
And I feel this is a really, really good topic. Here's the email. Hi, guys. I love the show. 3 loves. Totally love that. I started listening from the start about a month ago, and I'm all caught up. Thank you for listening. That's a lot of episodes.
Wow. Okay.
All right, you ready for this? Anea, I need your help. I'm a single mother with a daughter who is 10. We live just the 2 of us and have for the last 5 years. Her father is remarried, and they're about to have their first child.
Okay.
Okay. I have full custody. She sees her dad on the weekends and holidays. I haven't dated too much. Over the years, nothing too serious, but lately I have met a man that has been in our life and started dating him. Wow. So now I am kick your teeth in love. I've never heard of that term. Have you heard of that?
No, but I love it.
Okay. I'm so in love. Someone kicked me in my mouth. Okay. I've been friends with this man since she was born. She knows him and she can tell I'm acting different. How do I incorporate this man into her/our life? Her little world is being rocked right now. Help. All right. Here we go, Jenny.
Here we go with the help.
Okay. So first thing, I want to break this question down into 3 parts.
Okay.
Because I thought about it when I was kind of outlining the show. For a lot of our listeners out there, they might not be as far down the road as our listener, Ginny. Just say they're recently divorced.
Or just decided they're going to get divorced.
Yeah, they're separated. And their partner has decided to remarry. That's a question you got to have with the 10-year-old or anybody in your family. And then I want you to tackle the question of mom or dad is having a new son or daughter. So there's this new person in your life, your first stepbrother, that's a question right now.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of the people listening to the show be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Right.
And then, you ready for this? The last question I want to have you try to tackle, or I know you will tackle, is just dating in general. When you have kids and you're a parent that recently has gotten divorced and you just got to talk about dating, and when would even be the time to bring someone into your life to meet your kids? I feel like that's such a huge responsibility. Yeah. Are you ready to dive in?
So
are you ready to dive in?
First, you're going to have to recap those. So the first question is?
First question is, parents who are separated, partners that are no longer together, the other partner that is beginning to date before, say, you are in this situation. And in this situation with Ginny is her ex-husband started dating, got married and has a kid.
Is now about to have a baby.
Yeah, I'm just saying, how would you explain that possibly to a 10-year-old?
Okay, so wait. First of all, always, it is important to meet your children where they are, which includes acknowledging the challenges that they're facing without, and this is really key, without bringing a lot of making it bigger than it is, or so in other words, you're saying, I understand that there's a lot going on. I know that you had to deal with, in this particular case.
You're identifying.
First, you're identifying. You're acknowledging the challenges that your child is facing. But this is really important. You're not doing so in a way that is basically telling them or teaching them that when you have a challenge or something's difficult, that becomes a part of your story or a part of who you are. It is an obstacle that we need to problem solve to overcome.
So you're putting it right out on the table.
Absolutely. I think kids want to know that they're heard and that they're seen and their feelings in this whole, big upheaval of their lives matter without putting them in a position where like it's all about them. And I know a lot of people that get separated or divorced carry guilt, and then they start they're just doing things that we wouldn't normally. It can lead to not such effective parenting if we're coming from a place of, oh my gosh, how is this going to affect poor Susie? Or, oh my God, what have I done to my kid? Or whatever. Be conscious of it, but there's a way to do that. Okay, so the first thing is to acknowledge in this particular case, like, wow, there's been a lot of changes in your life. Okay. Then from there, it's really every step of the way is about how you frame it. So your children are always going to take cues from you. If they, the example that I always use is I can remember being out playing in our front yard. We'd call them booters, like getting booters. We'd like step in water, step in the ditch. And if we looked up at the window and my mom was like smiling or like, oh, glad you guys are having fun, we were like, oh, it's okay, we're having fun. Whereas if something happened and we looked up at my mom and she was like not looking happy, then that would set the tone of like, oh boy, like we've really done something wrong or something is bad here. So any of these really charged, sensitive topics or conversations that you're going to have, you need to know that your kids are going to take your cue. If you are telling them, I love you and this is a hard time for all of us, but know that mommy and daddy are always here for you and we're going to get through this together. We're still a family. All of those things are going to help your child feel heard and seen, and that you're being honest with them. You're not sugarcoating to the point of like, oh, it's no big deal. Everything's going to just be funny. Like it's going to be fine. But you're also not making it so dire that that's what they latch onto. Like this is just this insurmountable thing, and how am I going to survive it? I'm now a child of divorced parents, blah, blah, blah.
Wow. I always love your attitude about divorce.
Really?
Yeah, well, no. And I know that just for me, I gotta, whenever you've talked about divorce, you've never made it so catastrophic. Whereas for me, I just think of divorce as such oh my gosh, that would be the worst thing to ever happen. And you've always had an attitude that if it isn't working and it isn't grooving, that life is short and that it's okay.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that if you can, for this particular woman that's sitting down with her 10-year-old, is that she's not portraying the situation as catastrophic.
That's right.
She's portraying it as like, hey, I'm going to be happy. And your father's going to be happy, which means you'll be happy.
That's right.
And all of that. How do you get to that place though? Because your mom, your dad, you have to, the girl, when I always view our parents as just mom and dad.
Right. So this is, and people have heard me say this many times before, this is yet another opportunity to let your children see that you're human. So, because they think,
So mom and dad are human?
Yes, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And letting them know, again, through this whole conversation of whether it's you're introducing the idea of the divorce, you are in the divorce or through the divorce, and now it's about bringing other partners in, or now dad's having a baby with his new partner, or mom's having a baby with her new partner. Every step of the way, it's important for your children to hear that their happiness is important to you, but your own is important too. And saying things like, life is short. Having joy in our lives is such an important part of being healthy and well in the world. And I will be a better person, a better mommy, daddy will be a better daddy if we have joy in our lives, which does not mean it's supposed to be zippity-doo-dah 24/7, that if something is, you have a bad day, that means it's really bad.
No, but what you're really hitting on a point is so important, that if you have these discussions, the feeling I'm getting from you is that it doesn't have to be so dire, but also really being open to saying life is short.
Yes.
And it's not the greatest news that mom and dad
not
didn't,
ideal. Wish this didn't have to happen.
But you really have a choice to either become the victim or we can move on together.
And create something. We always have a hand in creating.
I gotta say though right now, and I can feel like I know our listeners are like, Joe, you gotta ask the question. What happens when the divorce doesn't go well?
Okay.
This woman that our listener feels like it is going well, but I got to just have you steer the car in there for 1 second.
Sure.
It's hard sometimes. We all know the divorce sometimes isn't as nice as we want it to be. It can get dodgy.
Okay, so I love that word dodgy.
Can I tell you right now? First time I ever used it.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds really good when you have an English accent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard it said on NPR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I listen to NPR sometimes and I feel super smart.
You are super smart. Okay, so anyway, so the question that you're and I'm sure there's lots of people going, look, that's not the way my divorce went down. Okay, so first of all, I am a very, very, very big believer that we always have. We don't always have a choice about what life is going to throw at us, but we always have a choice in terms of how we hold it, how we respond to it, whatever. So a divorce is not ideal. It's not. It's like even people that come together and go, you know what, this isn't working anymore, but let's do this the best way we can. It's hard. There is grieving that happens. There's sadness and sometimes a feel of failure and all of those things that we're feeling. And yet, if the alternative is we're going to stick it out and basically create an environment where our kids on a daily basis are subjected to negative energy and fighting or bickering, or even if there's no like overt arguing going on, but our children being so sensitive can feel like these are not two happy, healthy human beings. And what's really important in terms of fulfilling our role as parents is we are setting them up for the same thing. We're modeling, we're setting the example. So if we choose to do that, we're telling our kids that they're going to be expected to do the same thing, that their happiness is really, and their well-being is really secondary to like fulfilling this commitment to be married, till death. And I just think that is, I've worked with too many people who range in age, but especially the adults that can really articulate and be like, I wish my parents would have just called it a day.
Do you ever feel that you do not have enough time in the day to do what you're supposed to get done? You're going to work, you're maybe trying to hit the gym, but you forgot that, I got to pick so-and-so up from daycare. I got to get my dad over to his doctor's appointment. I wanted to pick up the house before I left. Wow, check it out. How am I going to get everything done? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Go to care.com. Care.com. Care.com is the world's largest digital marketplace for finding and managing family care. That is right. Family care needs can be unpredictable. You got sick kids. You need someone to stay home. Man, both parents are out there trying to make a living. Your kids get sick. Who's going to stay home? Who's going to miss out on that cash? Now you go to care.com and they'll have someone for you that can look after your kids. Don't stress your life away. Seriously, most working parents worry about their kids every minute of the day. You're more at ease and more focused when you know your kids or your parents or even your pets are well cared for. Best part is this, care.com provides access to a variety of background check options you can purchase to help make sure that you're making the best hiring decision. That's my favorite part right there. They're letting you know there's a million different things for you to check out on the background check options so you know who's going to be there with your kids or with your parents or with your pet taking care of the situation. Care.com. Check it out now. If you go to care.com right now, you ready for this? To save 30% off care.com premium membership, visit care.com/rad parenting when you subscribe, and you're going to get 30% off. Like I said, the world's moving a million miles an hour. You just want to take care of your kids and all the responsibilities. Let care.com help. Well, it makes sense when you say it that way. And maybe for me, the reason I think of it as so catastrophic, because I'm only comparing it to my personal relationship with my wife, that if we ever had to go down that road, it would be catastrophic. At least I feel that way. And what you're saying is that you're dealing with so many different clients and so many people that are coming through your door that are saying, oh my gosh, it wasn't a happy environment. Don't know why they stuck it out.
Yeah.
The moment I went away to college, dad moved out and got a condo.
Right. The fact that they thought they were doing that for us, wrong.
Okay,
right?
That makes sense. I appreciate you going and throwing that into the episode.
And we always have the choice to not make divorce adversarial. I mean, we just do. Right out the gate, we have that choice. And it doesn't mean like roll over and get taken for a ride, but there is a way to come to the table and be like, we have children. We have an obligation to those children. And if we need to do this because we can no longer be happy in this situation, then we need to move through this in a way that is still coming from a place of love and respect that we entered this whole thing with.
Yeah. And one of the things I got to say to our listeners right now, because somebody might be listening to what you're saying and being like, well, how would Anea know? And you went through
I've been through, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I've been through this. So,
Yeah.
so I do know. That's not, hypothetical or theoretical. It is.
You've lived it.
I have lived it. I believe that you can make a choice, and so there's that. So
Okay.
so now we've
So
sort
you
of
answered
just
my first two
broached the
questions.
subject about approaching this topic, and it can be touchy. So in this case, we have a mom who's already been through that phase, and I don't know how she handled it, but now here she finds herself, and now it's like there's a couple of things that this young girl is facing, and I think they need to be called out. Like, in addition to mom and dad having been divorced, now dad's been remarried. Now there's a new sibling. After being an only child, I'm guessing for 10 years, she's got a new sibling, and now mom's going to bring somebody new onto the scene who's not exactly new, but new in this particular
Has
format.
been a part of their life.
Has been a part of their lives, but does not carry the title of partner, boyfriend, whatever.
There you go.
So, coming out the gate, acknowledging like all the challenges that she's faced, and probably applauding like how well she's moved through it, and just reminding her again how much she's loved. And then I think the next thing here is the when. And how it's really about finding that sweet spot when you are going to bring a new person into your life, post divorce, is making sure that you've spent enough time with them, that you and have had enough communication about the fact that I have kids. Maybe I have kids and you have kids. What do we anticipate are going to be the obstacles to blending these families? Or what do we think are going to be the obstacles? I don't know if this man has children or not, but like to bringing you in this, wearing this new hat, which is something different. All of those adult conversations should happen over time before that new person is ever introduced.
Yeah, because what you're saying is that those conversations have to happen well before this new
the kids
person
are brought into the mix, right? You have to be sorting through that and figuring out like how well the two of you can communicate, just in anticipating the obstacles, never mind actually diving in and dealing with them. Now, the problem is that there's only so much you can talk through in hypotheticals, and it may be the case, and it doesn't sound likely. And what I love about this particular situation is that this is somebody that this woman has gotten to know over time in what I usually refer to as like his natural habitat. Meaning, unlike a dating context where it's like a job interview, everybody's great at their freaking job interview. It's just like the first several dates. They're going to put forward their best self, and it's only over time that you get to know. So I think it's lovely that this woman has had an opportunity over the course of, it sounds like, at least 10 years, if she's known him since before her daughter was born, to get to know this man in a friendship context where he wasn't like putting on a good face or a brave face.
He wasn't in the honeymoon phase.
That's right. Exactly. And so that sounds like probably she knows enough about this man, and they know enough about their relationship dynamic, that she's probably not going to have to wait too much longer to know that the time is right to introduce this man with this new hat. And so, but the sweet spot is having spent enough time with that new person without being so invested that if it goes sideways when he or she is introduced to your children, and I'm going to caution our listeners, going sideways does not mean, oh, well, if our kids don't like jump up and down with great excitement that mom or dad has a new boyfriend or girlfriend, then I guess it's done. Look, especially if they're teens, you are going to get hard pushback.
I'll tell you.
No question.
Yeah. I mean, right when you said that, I just thought of the pushback that when I was a teenager. I remember, I feel so bad for my mom and dad. Like, I should seriously call, like, it's
right after the show, you're going to call them.
I remember, my mom, was dating. I was 13, and I was such a jerk to her boyfriends, and I was such a jerk to my dad's girlfriends. And I remember once when I was a kid, I stuck a Marlboro, not a cigarette. I stuck a marble in one of my mom's boyfriend's gas tank. And you ready for this, Anea? Listen to him talk about all the work that he was having done on his car for like
Joe Sib
for months, and never said anything.
Oh, I'm sure just relished every time it came up.
And I just, hey, listeners, just so you guys know, that is high fives in hell right there. That is, I am not proud of that. And right now, if there's someone sticking a little marble in my Prius gas tank,
karma.
Then I know it's karma. But yeah, it definitely, the adolescent factor played into. So I like that you're saying going sideways doesn't mean that your kids are doing.
It doesn't mean it's a done deal.
Somersaults.
Like, oh no, this isn't going to work. And also be suspicious if they're just like, yay, we have a new daddy or a new mommy. Like, also probably not genuine. But this is why it's important before you actually bring that person in. I think really from the conversations need to start from the time the divorce is happening about like life being short and happiness being important. And I'm your mommy, but I'm also a person, or I'm your daddy and I'm also a person. And I also, just like I want you to be happy with your friends and think about how joyful you are when you sit down and play the piano or when you're gaming or whatever. Like I want that for you and I want you to want that for me.
And you use the word human. Mm-hmm. I'm a human being.
Yes. And that's important because remember, that's not just taking something for ourselves as parents. That is giving our children permission right now in the present, but also in the future as they become adults to also understand, like, I have a responsibility to, this is Anea speak here. I believe that every human being has a responsibility and I dare say obligation to do the work of becoming the best version of themselves. Part of that includes having joy, having love in your life, and giving yourself that responsibly, not carelessly, with your family in mind, and all of that. But nevertheless, it's important to do that and to thereby give your kids permission to also make choices in life that are going to bring them joy.
Wow. Yeah. The whole idea of having this question be a part of the show was to really answer almost 4 different questions with one. And I really feel that you touched on all of them. Just the idea of divorce not being as catastrophic as all of us feel that it might be. And the reason I'm able to say that is by what you said. You're dealing with clients that have said, gosh, I wish mom and dad would have just called it a day, because the stress that they went through was the reason they're sitting in front of you.
That's right.
Sorry. And then secondly, I loved how you how you basically talked about the topics. Mom or dad begins to date. It's okay. I want mom or dad, your father, to be happy.
Right.
If they're happy, that's great for us. That's great for you. And also just letting our kids know that we're human beings. That right there is something I'm going to say to my kids tonight when I see them. I'm going to be like, hey, I'm a human being. I'm just going to start my day with that. I'm going to start my evening with that.
Just FYI. Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't feel that we say that enough to our kids.
No, and I think some of it is we feel like we're supposed to be up on this pedestal, and pedestals only set us up to fall, honestly. And and again, not just for our own sake, but for our children's sake, to know that they're also given permission to leave an unhappy relationship because mom and dad made that choice.
One last part of this question I really want to just have you answer was Jeannie mentioned that the man that she's going to be letting her daughter know was a family friend, someone that's obviously been in their life the whole time. Is there a way to steer that from like, wait a minute, it was my baseball coach and now you're dating, or wait a minute, that's my teacher, or wait a minute, that's our neighbor.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, honesty is for sure like a really big deal. And I think that, again, the way in which it's framed, so saying, the good news is, like, so-and-so is not a stranger to either of us. This is a person who knows you, who's known you since you were born, who loves you. And isn't this a beautiful thing that we're, here's us taking charge. And where a lot of people get divorced and they have all of this turmoil, your dad and I have been committed to making sure that, you are still his priority, you're still my priority, and yet we're also finding happiness and love and what that ultimately means for you. And this is something I personally said regularly with my oldest daughter was, yes, it would have been great if your dad and I could have stayed together and had we been happy enough to stay together. That's not possible. Here's the great benefit is you now have 4 parents that love you, because her dad went on to get remarried. I got remarried, and it was just this beautiful way of framing it. And I know that when I talked to her as an adult today, that stuck with her. That resonated with her. It gave her a brain prompt or a cue, like, oh, doesn't have to be catastrophic. This actually means more love for me. I have more people loving me in my life now, even if it can't be the ideal thing that I wanted.
I love how many times we use the word framing in this show. People listening to it could also think it's about construction, but it isn't. It's about how you frame these type of tough conversations with your children. Anea Bogue, nailing it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I want to thank all of our listeners. Got to thank Jeannie. Won't say your last name because that'd be kind of weird, but thank you so much for taking the time to write this email to us and really driving the show today. That is how a lot of times the topics for the Rad Parenting are decided. So please keep those emails coming to radparenting@gmail.com. Please keep the text coming too. That is right. Text the word parenting to 313131. And you'll be hearing this shout out from me for about the next 4 or 5 episodes. Yes, my record is coming out. Joe Sib, Nowhere Near the Top. And if you want, you can go to iTunes right now, search my name, Joe Sib, and you'll see a little picture of me skateboarding. It says Joe Sib, Nowhere Near the Top. And if you bought my pre-ordered record for $8, I'd be so stoked. You'd make a little Italian man very, very happy. Because if I don't sell enough of these, it's going to be a sad day, April 28th. But I won't even talk about it. No, I'd be stoked. And you guys have been buying them, so that's been super, super cool. But we appreciate everything. And thank you so much, Anea, today. This was great. My name is Joe Sib.
And Anea Bogue.
And we're both out of here.
Late.